Hello and welcome to Immigration with Andrew. I'm Andrew, and in this video, we will be discussing the U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021. Last week, the U.S. Citizenship Act was introduced in both houses. The text is exactly the same. I will provide links in the description to the text of both bills. According to the Congress.gov website, though, it seems like the House's bill is the only one that's been formally introduced, even though the Senate's bill does have sponsors. It's, I think, just a matter of time. So I'll provide the link to that Congress's website to the House bill as well, so we can track that together. The bill is 353 pages long. The bill makes many significant changes to the immigration laws of the United States. In this video, though, I want to focus on the 4 different pathways that the bill provides to lawful permanent residence and from there U.S. citizenship. The bill also has a lot on the Central American humanitarian crisis. It has a lot on border security, and it has a lot of significant but assorted or miscellaneous changes to various aspects of immigration laws. So in this video, I only want to focus on the 4 different pathways that the bill provides to a green card, to permanent residence, and then from there, U.S. citizenship. So let's jump right in no particular order. The first one, DREAM Act. This DREAM Act is very similar, if not identical, to the other DREAM Acts that we've seen proposed and introduced over the years. The requirements, though, person has to be under the age of 18 when they enter the United States initially. The person has to have either a high school diploma, a high school equivalency diploma, or a GED. And so from those requirements, there are the 3 different tracks. There's the education track, so the person has to either have a college degree or have been enrolled in a college or university for 2 years. There's the military track. The person has to have served for 2 years in the U.S. Armed Forces. If discharged, the person needs to have been honorably discharged. And then there's the employment track. So the person has to have worked for 3 years and 75% of the time that they had the work authorization. And so once those requirements are met, the person can apply for permanent residence directly. Second path is they call it the American Promise Act. This is for people who had temporary protected status or deferred enforced departure, DED, in January of 2017. The DED only is going to apply, though, to people from Liberia. TPS is probably going to be outside the scope of this video. It's a status not unlike DACA, where it's simply just a work permit and a promise that the person won't be deported for a period of time that can be renewed. And so people that had TPS in January 2017, they will be able to apply directly for a green card for permanent residence. The third one is for agricultural workers. If the person in the 5 years before they apply has worked for 2,300 hours or 400 work days, the person in agricultural work and basically farm work, the person can apply for a green card that way as well. And then the fourth way to attain permanent residence, the bill creates this new status. They call it Lawful Prospective Immigrant, and this is going to be the pathway that probably most people pursue. This is somebody who doesn't qualify for the DREAM Act, doesn't work in farming, didn't have TPS. So this person will apply for this status, this lawful prospective immigrant status. Status is valid for 6 years. It can be renewed for an additional 6 years, but after the person has had this lawful prospective immigrant status for a period of 5 years, then the person can apply for permanent residence. Permanent residence is a green card. Another very significant change that this bill provides, generally without this change, there are some exceptions. Generally, once somebody has a green card, has their permanent residence, they can apply for citizenship after 5 years. This bill changes that to only 3 years. So for the dreamers out there, they can go directly. Plus, the bill provides a streamlined process. We'll have to see what that means, procedurally, technically, form-wise, I guess. I mean, but the bill provides for a streamlined process to permanent residence for people who already have DACA. So that person could get their green card soon and then apply for their citizenship 3 years later. So it's a 3-year path for the dreamers, 3-year path for the TPS and DED people, 3-year path for the farm workers, although they're going to have to prove that 5 years, essentially 5 years of agricultural work. And so for the people that don't follow that path, this lawful prospective immigrant path, they can apply for their green card after 5 years, and then the 3 years to get citizenship after that. So that's the 8-year path for those folks. So those are the 4 pathways to residence and then U.S. citizenship that this bill provides. I do want to spend a few minutes here on the criminal bars, because the bill provides for waivers that are new. They're very new. So there are 3 criminal bars that this bill provides to all pathways, so even a dreamer. So a dreamer is subject to the same requirements as everybody else. So the 3 big ones, well, the 3 requirements for with respect to the criminal bars. The first one, some of the same grounds of admissibility apply to folks in these 4 pathways. People who have crimes involving moral turpitude, controlled substances convictions or offenses, prostitution, terrorism. I mean, the big ones, smuggling. So people who are inadmissible for those grounds are not going to be eligible. The other one, any felony. If the person has any felony from whenever, they are ineligible. The third one, 3 or more misdemeanors. Person has 3 misdemeanors or more from any time period, they're ineligible. But the bill, though, provides 3 different waivers for these 3 different grounds. Each ground has its own waiver. It's fairly confusing. It's a little difficult to convey in a YouTube video. But so for those grounds of inadmissibility, the bill provides a new waiver. So if the person can show, in the interest of family unity, public interest, or humanitarian purpose, the person can waive any of these grounds, even if they have a crime involving moral turpitude, even if they have controlled substance conviction on their record. They're going to be able to at least apply for this waiver. Doesn't mean that the waiver will be approved, but they'll be eligible for the waiver. That's a big deal. For the felony bar, if the person has any felony, they're ineligible. There's a waiver for that, though, if the person has not had any convictions for the past 10 years. So if the person does have a felony or multiple felonies, is the way I read it, but hasn't had any convictions, any felonies or misdemeanors, hasn't had any convictions for the past 10 years, then that person can apply for the waiver. And the misdemeanor rule is a little confusing. I'm going to try to go through this a little bit slowly. So the general rule is if the person has 3 misdemeanors, then they're not eligible. So the waiver provides 2 waivers. The first way to get a waiver, you can waive 1 misdemeanor conviction if you have not had any convictions on your record for 5 years. The person can waive 2 misdemeanor convictions if they haven't had any convictions for 10 years. So let's do an example, I think, hopefully to make this a little bit more understandable. Let's say the person has 3 misdemeanors from, let's say, 2010, 2012, and 2016. And we're in 2021. So the person has the 3 misdemeanor convictions, but the last one was in 2016, and so I should have said 2015. But if the person has had no convictions for the past 5 years, then they can waive that one. So that's how that waiver is going to work. The other one, waiving 2 misdemeanors, you've got to have been conviction free for 10 years. So you've got 3 convictions for misdemeanors, but one was in 2008, one was in 2009, and one was in 2010. So you've got the 10 years there of being conviction free. You can waive 2 of those, or you have 4. I mean, maybe that's a better way to put it. You have 4 misdemeanor convictions, but you can waive 2 of them because you've been clean for the past 10 years. This is confusing. We're just going to have to see. I think we'll probably see some movement in committees on some of these criminal requirements. So we'll just have to see. I don't know if I'll track every amendment after every committee hearing, especially in the House. But I will definitely get a video up as soon as I can when there's news that I think is worthy to share. So that is as short, I think, as I can make it, but to have it be something that's hopefully understandable. As always, feel free to text me, leave a comment below, subscribe to make sure you get any new updates as they come. Thanks for your time.